Hi, my name is Addison, and I'm here to tell you all about notorious crimes in Brazil. Today, I'm going to tell you one of the most terrifying crimes we've ever had here, Champinha's case. This case happened in 2003, and Champinha is the nickname of the person that we Brazilians consider the devil on earth. I must warn you, this video will contain triggers, and you will probably have some nightmares after, so be careful. Liana Fadden was only 16 years old, and Felipe Café was 19 when that happened. Felipe knew this place to camp, and they were in love, and so he decided to take her with him to Embu-Guaçu. What he didn't know is that their path was going to cross with the killers. They were dating for a few months, and Liana decided to lie to her parents because she thought they would never allow her to go camping with her boyfriend. She was only 16, and she said that she was going to travel with a group of Jewish young people. They have this community, and they used to travel together. And the parents, okay, because she used to do that, and she never lied to them. So they said, oh, all right, and she went with Felipe. Felipe, on the other hand, told his mother that he was going camping, but he never said that he was going with Liana. He said he was going camping, and she thought, okay, he always does that. So he's with his friends camping, all right? So both of them lied. I mean, he didn't lie, but he admitted. He didn't say that he was going with Liana. So on October 31st, 2003, they got to Embu-Guaçu, and the place they wanted to camp was still far away. So they took another bus to Santa Rita, and then they walked until they found the suitable place to camp. While the couple was going to the village, they caught the attention of the people from there because they were different. They were carrying a lot of luggage, and they were dressing very well, and she had this beauty that they didn't see much there, and they caught the attention of Champinha. Champinha's name was Roberto Aparecido Alves Cardoso. He was going fishing with Paulo César da Silva Marques. Pernambuco was his nickname. So Champinha and Pernambuco decided to follow the couple and see where they were going to place their tent. They took the fisherman's knife they had and cut the tent, announcing a robbery. When they saw that they didn't have anything of value, they decided to kidnap the couple, and they took them to Antonio Caetano Silva's house, which was a very unsanitary and scary place. Liana then said, I'm from a rich family. You can ask for a ransom, and as long as you don't hurt us, right? But that same night, Pernambuco, Liana, and they were placed in different rooms. So Felipe heard everything, but he couldn't do anything. He had his hands tight and his feet tight. The next day, they decided to ask Felipe if he was from a rich family as well. He said, no, I'm from a poor family. And they then took them to a walk on the forest. Pernambuco was guiding Felipe, and Champinha was guiding Liana. But Champinha decided to stop at a certain point, and Pernambuco kept going with Felipe. When they lost sight of them, they heard a shot. Liana asked Champinha what happened, and he said, well, we are releasing him. Of course, she knew that wasn't truth. She heard a shot. Felipe had his hands tight, and Pernambuco asked him to kneel and gave him a shot at a close range on the back of his neck. Then Pernambuco decided to flee to São Paulo, He ran away and left Liana in Champinha's hands. And Champinha, again and again and again, and asked other guides, other masters to do the same. I'm going to talk about those guys in a minute. So she suffered like hell. She entered in a state of shock. And her father says, thank God she was in shock, because I believe she didn't feel that much if she had this state of shock that you are going to understand when I explain how they knew that she was in a state of shock, okay? And it's very hard to talk about this crime. It's really one of the most terrible crimes we've ever had here. Given the lack of news about his daughter, her father started getting worried. She didn't answer the phone. She didn't answer the messages. So he started calling her friends, especially the Jewish young people that she said she was traveling with. No one knew about her. So he called the police. We found out that she traveled with her boyfriend, but where were they? They didn't answer for days. What's happening? And then he called the police, and then he went there. And then they found very quickly the tent that they were in. They saw the knife cut, and they saw their belongings. And then the thing became public. The media came immediately. Aguinaldo Pires was another man who was involved in Liana's torture. The media was all over it, the press was all over it, and they were telling a story, a Romeo and Juliet story, and that, took the attention of the whole country. I was her age back then, and so I was like, oh my God, she could be my friend, she could be me. And everyone was terrified. Where is she? Everyone was looking for her. The whole country was like paralyzed in front of the TV. And her father was making appeals on TV, like, help if you saw her, if you saw him, if you saw them. Please say something, call the police. And all the things that we know how it works. And that caught the attention of a rich guy who had an helicopter. He said, well, I can give you my helicopter and you can, release pictures of her and him, all over the city. And he said, okay. He accepted it. One of the most terrifying things that happened in this case is that the police knocked on the door that she was in. And the monster answered the door and said, hi. And then they said, did you see this girl? No, I didn't. Okay, then. It's like, oh my God, she was there. And she was in such a state of shock. She couldn't answer, scream, ask for help. But later her father said, I thank God she didn't survive to that. Because if she did, she would probably never recover from this trauma. It was such a terrible thing. Such a horrible, horrifying trauma. She would never be the same again. And so I thank God she didn't survive. That's what her father says. And I know it's extreme, but I understand him, And he was like, and until now, if you see his interviews, he suffers like hell, He's always talking about it because he says that helps him, and that destroyed his family. He separated from his wife, his son got into a depression because he said, she told me she was going to live with her boyfriend, but I didn't say anything. He was a kid, and her older sister asked him not to, and he was like, it's my fault, and he suffered like that too. Now he's fine. He He had treatment and he's fine. One of her best friends tried to end her own, and she suffered a lot. And so it destroyed a lot of people, Grandparents died right after that thing happened. With all that media, in this case, they heard about Champinha. Champinha was feared by everyone. Even his family were afraid of him. Everybody was afraid of Champinha. And they went to his house because a cop said, "Oh, this is Champinha. Champinha's stuff. I know, he's involved." And so everyone was looking for Champinha. His brother went to meet him to tell him, "Hey, they are looking for you." And he was fishing with Liana by his side. Can you believe that? So his brother went to him and saw Liana, and she was by his side wearing a coat and a book. And she didn't move, she didn't talk, she didn't, speak. And she was already dead inside, in shock. And he didn't say anything to the police. So, come on, I think this guy is as guilty as Champinha. Well, he didn't say anything. Other people saw him with Liana. He would walk with her and say, "She's my girlfriend." And people would say, "Okay," not say anything. Come on, Jesus Christ, this is unbelievable. But on November 5th, he decided to end Liana's life because of the media and stuff. He saw that it was becoming very big. Her father thinks until now that it's because of the helicopter, that he saw the helicopter in the pictures of Liana's on papers on the floor, and that's why he decided to end her life. But you know what? He's a master. The forensic psychologist Guido Palomba said he can never leave. He can never leave with society again. This guy is a monster. He's a psychopath, and he will do it again. He's completely psychopath. Guido Palomba did something to put him in a psychiatric clinic. That's the only place here in Brazil that they can never leave if they don't have if the doctor says he can leave. This is the only place. And thank God for that he's there. Some people say, "Oh, but he has video games and he has a good bedroom and he has, pools and he plays soccer." Well, as long as he doesn't live there, it's okay, for me. Of course, we desire that he suffered like hell, but at least he's never going to live there. He was so evil that he said that he was going to take her to a bus station and let her go. So he gave her hope, and she was going with him. And then he took a knife and gave her lots of blows on her neck, chest, and back. The cops say that when he's telling this to them, like, "I told her I was going to release her," he's telling like a story, like it's nothing. Like, "Oh, I told her I was going to take her to the bus station." And they say it was the most difficult interrogation they ever did because they wanted to, and they couldn't. They just had to stay there and listen to that master speaking. And he was only 60 years old. He was like terrifying, 5 days later, the bodies were found. Her father was destroyed. And there are lots of documentaries about it. It is a terrible case to watch. On November 14th, they were all arrested, okay? Pernambuco, Antônio Caetano, Antônio Matias, and Antônio Pires were arrested. And Champinha, of course. So 5 monsters. When I say monster, okay, it's just because we have difficult to say man, you know, because we don't want to believe, you know, they were men, not monsters, you know, they were not Godzilla or stuff. They were men doing that. Their families say, well, for example, Pernambuco's niece said, my family was over now because everybody sees us as the family of the guy who killed Liana and Felipe. But, you know, he was a very nice uncle. He never did anything to me. So he was a normal guy to them. And they could never believe he would be able to do something like that. He was a man and he did it. Well, now the story, I'm going to read this because I'm going to talk about the trial. And it's really hard to talk about it without reading it. Because, you know, it's unbelievable. So Antônio Matias was sentenced to 6 years. Yeah, I'm serious. 6 years in prison for the crimes of false imprisonment, personal favoritism, and concealing the murder weapon. Aguinaldo Pires was sentenced to 47 years and 3 months in prison for the of Liana. Antônio Caetano was sentenced to, oh, by the way, he will never stay there for 47 years, okay? It's like 30 years, maybe he's away. It's out. Maybe he's already out. We don't have much information about it. So Antônio Caetano was sentenced to 124 years in prison for several he committed against Liana. Well, if a guy who has been convicted to 47 years will never stay, can you imagine 124 years? In November 2007, Pernambuco was taken to the jury and sentenced to 110 years for having committed qualified and false imprisonment. Champinha, as he was not responsible for being a minor at the time of the events, was sent to trial by Children and Youth Court and not by the jury court. A social education measure of 3 years of hospitalization had been applied, the maximum time allowed by the child and adolescent state, 3 years. So we were all like, no way, you know. But Guido Palomba, who was a forensic psychologist, did something there to make him stay in a facility for the rest of his life.
Ele com 16 anos, o que seria aplicável para ele seria a medida socioeducativa, né? Na época, então, ser apreendido e ficar na antiga FEBEM. Só que tamanha foi a barbárie, digamos assim, que houve a necessidade de criar um órgão, uma instituição para que garantisse que ele não sairia depois de cumprida a medida socioeducativa, que foi a Unidade Experimental de Saúde, que é onde ele permanece até hoje. Ele foi o primeiro interno. Ele foi encaminhado lá depois de ser constatado, né, por profissionais da área da saúde que ele sofria e sofre até hoje de transtornos mentais. Ele é um sociopata, claro. Ele é um tipo de pessoa que não pode viver em sociedade. E essa unidade experimental de saúde, ela foi criada única e exclusivamente com esse objetivo, para garantir que ele permaneça recluso. Também é importante ressaltar que essa unidade experimental de saúde, ela deveria ter tratamento, um acompanhamento dos internos, o que não acontece na realidade. O caso do Champinha trouxe principalmente para o judiciário brasileiro, né, a necessidade de verificar a que ponto que nós podemos aplicar as medidas socioeducativas, até que ponto que nós podemos considerar a maioridade civil, digamos assim, porque quando o jovem comete um ato infracional, que tem essa diferença entre o ato infracional e o crime, quando é menor, então é um ato infracional, quando é uma pessoa, né, que já tem a maioridade civil, então nós dizemos crime. Mas quando é um menor, até que ponto que nós podemos mensurar se foi de fato um crime ou não, se foi um ato infracional, sim ou não, e como que a gente mede isso? Porque em tese ele não teria maioridade civil suficiente para cumprir uma pena como adulto, mas o crime foi assim tão pesado, né, e algo que assim, que em nenhum momento ele se arrependeu, em nenhum momento ele demonstrou remorso, que colocou em xeque essa divisão que existe no judiciário, né? Então, assim, até determinada idade não sabe o que está fazendo. Será? Porque o Champinha, ele trouxe isso muito claro, que ele sabia, sim, o que ele estava fazendo, que ele foi o cabeça de todo o crime, de tudo o que aconteceu, e ele quem orquestrou tudo, e ele quem conduziu os demais indivíduos. Então ele não estava ali sendo conduzido, muito pelo contrário, ele estava conduzindo os demais. E o caso do Champinha, o que mais, principalmente nós da área, né, advogados, o que mais chocou foi realmente a frieza em que esse crime foi cometido. Porque ele, na época, com 16 anos, conseguiu conduzir essa situação de tal maneira que, mesmo após ele ter ciência que a polícia estava atrás dele, mesmo ele sabendo que estavam à procura da Liana e do Felipe, ele continuou. Então, ele teve a oportunidade, pelo menos da Liana, de soltar ela, mas ele continuou, mesmo sabendo que a polícia já estava no encalço dele. Então, é um caso assim chocante, até para nós que vivemos isso todos os dias, mas que traz uma reflexão, né? Até que ponto que o ser humano chega e o que nós podemos estipular como que de fato vai ser julgado como um crime e aquilo que vai ser entendido como um ato infracional, né? Essa é a reflexão que fica.
So Champinha managed to escape, but he was stupid enough to go to his family's house. His brother, maybe in an attempt to redeem himself, called the police and told that he was there. So they took him very fast, back to the facility. See, I want to ask you, what do you think about Brazilian laws for minors, See, I understand. This is my opinion now, okay? I understand that a minor cannot go to jail with an adult, depending on the crime, for Christ's sake. Champinha is worse than most adult people, adult criminals. He did something so terrible. He was the leader, he is a monster, like I said, and he cannot be free because he was a minor, but of course you cannot get a boy who is smoking pot and put him together with a drug dealer in jail. This is not right, I understand that, and I really don't agree with that. But Champinha is a boy who should be arrested along with adult people for the rest of his life. But in jail, no one stays forever. Here in Brazil, Guido Palomba, the psychiatrist, did this good thing to send him to a psychiatrist clinic so he can stay there forever. Tell me, what do you think? Subscribe to my channel, like my channel, that I will tell you many stories from Brazil. Thank you.